On this week's Tony and Josh show, Little Blue Pill, move over. This prison has the ultimate solution for ED. And Hall & Oates get into a bloody fight, leaving one in jail and the other with a bite wound to the face.
Ooh, he's a man-eater. New Horizon approaches Pluto, and do you remember that little probe filet? We've got an update on both. Want a tasty burger? No problem. Lawfully carrying a gun? Well, now we got a problem. What has this famous burger chain done to piss off every gun-toting American? We'll find out on the next Tony and Josh show.
Warning. The opinions, ideas, views, emotions, and temper tantrums expressed or otherwise conveyed on the Tony and Josh show may not and most likely is not suitable for all audiences and therefore should not be heard by anyone unless supervised by an appropriate nanny state. Enjoy!
Hey, this is episode 78. If you're new to the Tony and Josh show, we're here to inform and entertain and, well, give you a laugh or two. We've searched the interwebs and found these earth-shaking stories to bring to you tonight.
Little Blue Pill, move over. This prison has the ultimate solution for your ED. Want a tasty burger? No problem. Lawfully carrying a gun? Well, now we got a problem. What has this famous burger chain done to piss off every gun-toting American? Hall & Oates get into a bloody fight, and one of them is in jail.
Oh.
The other left with a bite wound. Ooh, we'll get into that a little bit later. And of course, in some science news, well, we wouldn't have a show without a little bit of that science stuff. New Horizon approaches Pluto, and well, we've got an update on that little Philae probe.
But first, we want you guys to give us a call over SpeakPipe, the SpeakPipe feature on our website, TonyandJosh.com. Tweet us during the show at Tony and Josh Show, and don't forget to include us in your tweets with the hashtag #HashBrown Tony and Josh.
No, hash browns. Don't get me started on food again. Oh my goodness. Nice, crispy, tasty hash browns.
You know, hash browns are wonderful.
Salted.
There's something about fried potatoes that you just...
Really, there's nothing much better than that.
That you can't substitute. Did you eat before the show, Josh?
I have eaten, but
okay, good. Well,
for those of you who know me, I've got a hollow leg and a metabolism of 3 men. I mean, I can always eat.
Well, because I just won't tease you about the food if you're not hungry. It's just not as much fun.
I know, not as much fun, huh?
You know, we jumped in here to get an early start. They don't really know what time we started, Josh. And I forgot about our SpeakPipe, getting our voicemails on. And if you want to chat a bit, I'll look and see if we've got a message or two here.
Well, that's just the thing is I was going through our show notes and stuff, and I was just going to start in with my spiel and putting all of you listeners to task in that we haven't had any voicemails in a little bit. And so we were going to, well, go ahead and I was going to put you guys on blast, as it were, and make you, if not force you, to dial those numbers or to, well, at least head over to our website and use our SpeakPipe feature because, well, we're not fancy enough to have any of those, phone screeners or, an actual 800 number that you guys could call or anything like that. No, but we actually do have something that's better than that, and it's called SpeakPipe, and it's basically a virtual answering machine through the internet. And all you need to do to make that thing work, all you need to have to make that work is a smartphone or a tablet or even a PC, Mac, something like that with a microphone hooked up to it. And you guys can just click on that little icon, leave us a message, and we'll just follow the prompts. Very easy to do, not high tech at all, but it leaves us some great audio and it gives you guys the chance to leave us 3 minutes of, well, bashing or patting on the back or whatever.
So we do have a voicemail from surprise, Nikki G.
Hey.
Yeah, here we go.
Hey, this is Nikki G, and I can't remember where we last left off since the show hasn't been on in like a month. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of advice from Nikki G. When you're eating a taco, try eating it over a tortilla. So when stuff falls out, boom, you got another taco.
Yeah.
Instant burrito.
All right, guys, I'll chat you later. You have a good one. Goodbye.
That guy's actually got some smarts in him. Who'd have thunk it? No, that's an ingenious idea. Little life hack lesson from Nikki G.
A taco within a taco. There's I think they had that in The Matrix or something. Or maybe it was the R-rated version I saw.
No, what was that movie with Leonardo to what's-his-face about the dream within a dream and a dream and a douchebag or something like that? I can't remember what it was exactly.
Somebody coined the term douche canoe, and I never could quite understand.
Douche canoe. That's great. I put that up there right next to douche nozzle.
I just never could figure out what would you do with a douche canoe. I mean, would you still paddle? I don't know
you have to bail quickly.
Those things that people come up with. Well, speaking of things people come up with
over here.
Yeah. Speaking of the things that people come up with, they don't come up with reviews, do they, Josh?
Not all by themselves, no. And that's where you guys, our listeners and loyal fan base, come into play. And, well, we're going to have to ask you guys to do this one more time. Please head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and a review if you would. Those comments and reviews are actually quite helpful to our cause. What is our cause, you may ask? Well, furthering our plight for world domination, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, no, it does help us with ratings and, of course, helps us bring you guys content each and every week.
I'm just going to read this one again. This is from June 10th of this year. Surprise. It's titled Funny by Annoyed Flicker. And the rating is 5 stars. Smart and funny. And just because we need more words, this is way back from March the 11th, also 2015. Cool podcast from Joe MN. I guess that would be Joe, Minnesota. Hey guys, figured you were always fishing for some reviews.
We are.
So I thought I'd drop by and do one. I started listening to this show after you talked about it on the XJ Talk Show podcast. Glad I did. This was pretty easy listening. There's no video though, so that makes sense. For my drive and from work home, it was due to you guys that I'm now watching The Walking Dead religiously. Thanks for that addiction. I think that was more of a thanks for that addiction.
Yeah, right. Thanks a lot.
And keep up the good work. Well, The Walking Dead's coming back pretty soon, Josh. We're going to be doing our bonus segments for The Walking Dead, aren't we?
Yes, of course we will be. If you guys remember last season, Tony and I did a weekly recap of Amazon's. Geez, there we go. I'm getting my my affiliates there all mixed up. No, of AMC's Walking Dead. Tony and I are both very much fans of the show. And so when the show is on the air, well, we like to do a weekly recap and talk about the show and little things that other people might have missed and stuff like that.
Well, I'm seeing a lot more programs being put out from these little cable networks. I've been watching, I believe it's AMC's The Last Ship. I don't know if you're familiar with that one or not.
I've seen the previews. I mean, because it's on, it's on my my list of channels I flip through, and so I'll check out what's scheduled for whenever I'm watching TV. And I don't watch a lot of TV to begin with,
right?
So my time in front of the boob tube is well precious, and so I reserve it for things that I am really into. But that being said, that doesn't mean I don't occasionally check out other things or will pop into a show that I've never watched before and just to check it out, and of course pay attention to what's in the listings.
So I thought I'd just mention I have been watching The Last Ship. It's a good show, and I was a little concerned that they were going to and this is spoiler alert if you guys like to ingest seasons at a time and you haven't watched the first season of The Last Ship, you may not want to hear this. So the whole premise is that they're off on looking for this flu-like virus up in the Arctic, and they find it, but the government kind of knew that there was going to be or suspected there was going to be an outbreak of this virus, and there was, and it killed a bunch of people, made them very sick, and killed a bunch of people. But this one ship was protected because it was so far away from all the illness. Well, I was a little concerned that they were going to pull that storyline out for, 5 seasons, 7 seasons, whatever, trying to get the cure for this flu virus that was killing everybody. Nope, they solved it in 1 season. They had the cure by the end of the season, and I thought,
now that's how it's supposed to be done.
And I thought, okay, well, what's going to happen? Well, the world's in disarray, so there's a lot of story there. It's just not that easy, simple story of we're looking for the cure. We're looking for the cure.
Not a slam dunk, not that safe. Yeah.
So somebody's actually having to write and not just come up with the same old thing. So I was very...
Wait a minute. Now, are you implying that there is a chance of some originality now in a program on TV? Because that is really something, at least nowadays, that is unheard of.
Well, we've been seeing more of that for the last 10 years or so. I mean, the reboot of I want to say Galaxy. What was the Starbuck and
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, the reboot of Battlestar Galactica. Very much more gritty and real, and the camera work was good too. Maybe a little too much shake to it, but the storyline was much better, less cartoonish. And so, yeah, I mean, we've been seeing better writing in these programs, in these series programs, for the last 10, 15 years. And I don't know why that is. Maybe the networks are allowing the writers to actually do a little more in the real world, or what it would be like in a real world. But anyway, The Last Ship is more of a real story, like what I think would happen. And I do recommend it. It's been a really good show.
So what happens when the last ship meets the good ship? Lollipop.
Well, there's always shore leave, right? So it's not really the last ship. I mean, I think there's a submarine involved currently, a bad submarine that's currently involved in the storyline. But
well, talking about ships and space and all that kind of stuff, because I'm a huge sci-fi nut, Tony, and I know that you are too. And so the stuff, news and whatnot that comes out of like the European Space Agency and NASA and stuff like that really hits my radar. And this is a story we've been following for a little while now about this one little device out in space, found itself a little rock, and it's called Philae. And what is happening with that?
Well, as you may remember, the little probe Philae that was part of the Rosetta space probe. It was
that's right.
It was a little probe, a little smaller probe on Rosetta, and Rosetta was sent out at least in part to have a look at this comet that's out floating along, and they were going to drop off Philae, and Philae was going to attach itself to the comet. And if you remember, either through the news stories or from a previous show, it didn't catch.
Not quite. Missed its mark just a little bit.
Well, the little hooks that they made, and this happens. They don't know what this stuff is made out of. They theorize, and they try to build devices that will latch on. Well, this didn't work, so it kind of took a bounce or two, and we're talking about kilometers high bounces.
Yeah.
So when it finally came to rest, because they are in a microgravity environment, when it finally came to rest, it was kind of in a dark spot. And
not where it was supposed to be.
And that's not so good if you have solar panels for power.
Yeah.
So they've been waiting
itself in a dark spot.
Yeah. And, so they've been waiting for some time for the rotation of the comet to bring it back into the sunlight. And Philae has been in a kind of a sleep mode, conserving what little energy it has until it can get recharged. Well, it has been recharged. It's come back to life, and I really didn't expect this to happen, Josh. I figured it was dead, especially since it's a EU craft. And just a little dig there, guys, just a little for our fuzzy little foreigners. But it has come back to life. And, Josh, they're talking about alien life being on this comet.
Cool stuff, because, that's one topic of conversation I'm sure we can go on and on about for, quite a while.
Well, we have reported recently that the scientists do believe that, in the next 15 years, we will find alien life that is not originated from this
10
planet.
to 15 years discovery of alien life, and in the next 25 years they're talking about potential intelligent alien life.
I would think that in the next 50 years we'll probably have a president that is not from this planet.
Right.
However, he will be able to provide the proper documents saying that he was born in Hawaii. So or she, or maybe both.
Sure,
maybe a combo of both. But anyway, so this is kind of strange that they're talking about alien life, and I think that it kind of goes back to the theory of how they think that how life was delivered here. They're talking
one
about
of the theories is
delivered on comets.
Came in from a comet or an asteroid or some sort of meteor, and it deposited alien DNA as if it was, you get the idea.
Well, and there's another theory that it's not actual DNA, but it was the right mixture of chemicals, the right building blocks, so that after, stir gently, apply heat, and DNA forms. So it would be very interesting if we did find actual DNA on one of these dirty snowballs. And, I take offense at these comets being called dirty snowballs. I mean, are we the dirt if that's where the life came from?
Well, I just think that our planet was essentially our planet to the universe was like Lewinsky's dress to.
Oh, geez. Here we go.
No? I
don't know. If there was a cigar involved, then I'm out of here. So basically what they're saying is that at least one scientist is saying the data coming from the comet seems to unequivocally, love that word, in my opinion, points to microorganisms being involved in the formation of the icy structures and the preponderance of aromatic hydrocarbons and the very dark surface. And that's from a professor with a name that's at least 3 feet long that I'm not going to try to pronounce. He said the unique features of the frozen dust ball, which has a black crust over its lake of ice, flat bottom craters, and mega boulders spread across its surface, could not be explained by prebiotic chemistry, which is the natural environment that exists before the advent of life. So they're looking at this thing, and based on the surface and its features of the comet and the color of the ice, that's why they're thinking there's alien life. Now, this isn't life that comes up and says, "Hello, how you doing? Take me to your leader." Well, this is the microorganisms type thing, or the building blocks that he's talking about.
I'm still not convinced that it's ice, but that's just me.
What do you think it is? Plastic?
I don't know. I think it's something that is not naturally occurring. I think that this is a material that was perhaps made,
spun,
or there you go, or placed there otherwise. I don't know. Ice seems too easy.
Ooh, maybe it was laid. Maybe it was laid, Josh. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was laid there. Maybe it was pushed out of a abdomen.
Well, even so, you would need a galactic Zamboni to shine that ice to such a sheen to reflect that amount of light to what we've seen in the pictures.
Some pretty exciting times, and it's amazing. All we have to do is get out there and look at this stuff, and we start finding things. Yeah. Isn't it amazing? Anyway, we will be talking more about the Rosetta mission and little Philae here on this dirty snowball in space and upcoming shows.
Other little probes in space and whatnot. There's another one that we've talked about in the news recently, the New Horizons probe, and that's approaching its target here rather quickly, isn't it?
I saw a picture today of Pluto, which this is amazing because since Pluto is so small and so far away, we have no clear pictures of it. I saw a picture today that the New Horizons space probe took. It's only 5 million miles away from Pluto.
Oh, boy.
5 million miles. So I was actually surprised the pictures weren't better, but I don't know what camera they're using. I don't know. Maybe they, something that's going that far out. Maybe they didn't, put telescopic type lenses to save weight and stuff. But
the latest pictures I'm seeing are showing a tannish planet. Now, everything that I have ever been taught has told me that Pluto is blue-ish.
Isn't Pluto from Disney? Isn't it tan?
Oh. I'm going to be pissed.
I noticed that too, and I just figured it had to do with the filter or something they were using.
Yeah, they're using Disney filters. That's why.
That would be really funny if it was actually a brownish looking planet, because I don't think we
have a button nose and huge cheeks here in a little bit too. I'm just sure of it.
And what was the deal with that? I mean, Goofy's a dog, and he has a dog as a pet.
But then there's Pluto.
Well, Pluto's his pet. That was his pet dog.
Yeah, good old Walt.
About middle July, July 14th, 15th, somewhere in there, that's when New Horizons probe will pass by Pluto, and we will have so many pictures and so many things. And Josh, if I see 2 or more bright spots on it, I'm going to be upset.
I know, right?
because of Ceres. If you guys haven't been following the 2 bright spots on that little dwarf planet, well, I'm surprised that what would really be cool is as New Horizons is passing by that they saw 2 people fighting on Pluto.
Yeah. I was going to go angle of...
Or maybe they were hauling some wheat or something across. How do you like those?
I was going to go the angle of, speaking of not following things, there's a band out of the 80s, a duo really, that probably really hasn't been in the news much at all, and most likely isn't really having much of a huge following nowadays. Hall & Oates is who I am talking about. And for those of you who don't know, Daryl Hall and John Oates, in a fight, and one of them is in jail. The other has a bite wound. That's right. Hall and Oates got into a bloody confrontation that ended with Hall getting bit in the face and Oates landing his butt in jail, at least according to police, that is. Only it wasn't that Hall and Oates. Sheriff's deputies were called to the Berlin, Ohio home of Scott Hall after he called 911 to report that he had been bitten above the eye by his angry neighbor, Roger Oates, who was 48 years old. It was apparent Hall had been assaulted as he had a significant injury above his left eye, according to police report. There was a significant cut to his left eyebrow region in the shape of a bite. The arresting officer reported that a chunk of Hall's skin had almost been completely bit off. Police allege that Oates went to Hall's home in an effort to convince him to testify on his behalf at an upcoming trial in which Oates was accused of supplying alcohol to minors. We're talking about salt of the earth kind of people here, aren't we, folks? When Hall refused, shocking, Oates allegedly attacked him. When police arrived at the scene, Oates was still there and needed to be shot with a taser to be subdued. Oates was charged with a felony assault and resisting arrest. In his mugshot, taken soon after his arrest, there still appears to be blood covering his lips. This really is a disturbing mugshot. It was unknown if he had already obtained a lawyer. Hall was taken to a hospital for treatment. The victim and his alleged face biter share the names of the rock duo Daryl Hall and John Oates, who I had mentioned earlier in the story, who sang the 1982 hit Man Eater.
He has to at least at one point say, "Hello, Clarice."
Oh, boy. Yeah, figure fitting title to a fitting song, which has absolutely no fitting or bearing to this story whatsoever, other than it shares names.
Oh, I like that. That was
not
beautiful.
Much else.
Yeah, that was very good. I like that. So, speaking of biting something, this certainly bites, and it's a place where you go to bite things. No, it's not what you're thinking. It's a Whataburger. It's a burger joint. And we're talking about Whataburger's, my opinion, knee-jerk reaction to the new open carry law that will be going into effect on January 1st, 2016. So basically, the CEO of Whataburger released a, what do you call these things? Not a news item, a news release or something. Press release today. And I'm sorry, on July 2nd, a few days ago. Oh, right before Independence Day. How dare they? So it starts off, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll paraphrase some of it. Some of it may be inaccurate, but hopefully funny. There's been a lot of talk the past couple of weeks about Whataburger's open carry policy, and I wanted to reach out to you and personally explain our position. In other words, we're worried about how you're going to take this, Texas. Whataburger supports customers, Second Amendment's rights, and we respect your group's position. But we haven't allowed open carry of firearms in our restaurants for a long time. Well, it's been illegal, hasn't it?
I love that. We see your point, but we still think you're full of shit.
Yes. Although we have not prohibited licensed concealed carry. It's a business decision we made a long time ago and have stood by. I think it's important you know why. Please keep coming to our restaurants.
Oh, boy.
Please. So... the interesting thing is any business establishment can refuse your ability to come into their place.
Well, sure, everybody's seen those pictures.
With a
we
gun.
Reserve the right to refuse the service, refuse service to anybody. But
the Texas legislature was pretty smart about it. There is a specific sign and size of the sign that has to be displayed
and
clearly.
Probably in a specific location.
Yeah, it has to be clearly displayed so that whenever you're a conceal and carry licensee, if you see this sign, you know that it will be illegal for you to enter that establishment with your weapon, even though it's concealed. And many businesses do not display that. I've never seen one.
Well, I mean, come on. What, you got to walk through a metal detector to get a crappy cheeseburger nowadays? I mean, come on. What's the world coming to?
I mean, putting the sign up like that is akin to if you're a criminal, come on in.
Right. No guns in here.
There's no guns in here.
Free register openings for everybody.
Yeah, we want your business. I mean, it's great for a 911 facility, I guess. So anyway, this thing continues on. But first, as a representative of Whataburger, I want you to know we proudly serve the gun rights community. I personally enjoy hunting, and I also have a conceal and carry license, as do others at Whataburger. In other words, we're just like you.
Right.
We're just like
Just
you.
like
But
you.
we don't want you coming in here.
Look how similar we are.
But we don't want you coming in here with an open carry. But why? But why wouldn't they want that, Josh? I mean, it seems silly. They're Texas. This is a Texas-based company. This is what 1950, where this is when guns were roaming the streets. And they started in Corpus Christi in 1950. They're based out of San Antonio now. I mean, you don't get more Texas than Whataburger. But anyway, they continue. From a business standpoint, though, we have to think about our how open carry impacts our 34,000 employees and millions of customers. We serve customers from all walks of life at more than 780 locations. Plug, 24 hours a day. In 10 states, we are known as a family-friendly atmosphere that customers have come to expect from us. We're the gathering spot for Little League teams, church groups, high school kids after football games. In other words, we don't need your stinking guns here. We're family oriented. I mean, that's what I got from it, Josh.
Yeah, they're really kind of going after that whole, like, we're wholesome, we have a reputation to uphold. We're just like you.
Because guns are bad.
If it weren't for these policies, we'd all be carrying guns. I mean, they're really trying to sweep it under the rug, sugarcoat a little bit.
It's a load of crap. I mean, they're saying
really
all these
is.
positive things to put a positive spin on it, but it's a load of crap. I mean, here and they continue. We've had many customers, and this is it's not me, it's you
No,
thing.
now we're bragging.
We've had many customers and employees tell us that they're uncomfortable being around someone with a visible firearm who is not a member of law enforcement and and as a business, we have to listen and value that feedback in the same way we value yours. We have a responsibility to make sure everyone who walks into our restaurant feels comfortable. For that reason, we don't restrict licensed concealed carry, but do ask customers not to open carry in our restaurants.
All right. So here, let me propose an open letter to Whataburger to ask them this question. If you have customers, and I'm going to use your own words here, many customers and employees that tell you that they're uncomfortable being around someone, say, wearing a turban on their head.
Oh, yeah.
Because it makes them uncomfortable. It makes them nervous because of the reputation of those kinds of people that practice those kinds of religions that are known with doing, extreme acts of violence and terrorism and stuff like that. Very valid reason for being uncomfortable in many people's eyes. Now, if they get, let's say, 5, 6, a dozen or more letters, or maybe somebody posts something like this on their Facebook account openly for thousands of people to see, well, wouldn't that be reason enough for them to then, just like banning guns in their store, to ban anybody of Eastern or of Western Indian descent?
I mean, it's like you say turban. What about somebody with the big bushy beard and a turban? Or what about a woman going in there with a burqa? Or
right.
or face coverings. I mean, wouldn't that make you nervous? Why does somebody need to cover their face unless they're a criminal, right?
Well, I mean, that's sort of how we've been raised, how we've been brought up, what we've been led to believe that, it started back in the 30s and 40s. All the criminals wore a black handkerchief around their face. Somebody hiding their face is up to no good. Now, I get it. This obviously, there is religious belief as to, what kind of religious garb they wear and stuff like that. I understand and respect that.
Yeah, as do I. But certainly the argument could be made that it would make people nervous given the world's events over the last 30 years.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Oh, but you can't do that, Josh. I mean, you
right.
can't.
Well, therein
freedoms.
lies the problem. If you can't do that, then you can't do the other thing either.
Shouldn't. I mean, technically they can. Should they?
I suppose
don't
they can
think
do
so.
whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, it's their business.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Starbucks has done this. Starbucks, the largest coffee chain, and I mean, they're probably just as, if not more powerful than, a company like Walmart or Viacom or,
oh yeah, you got to have your coffee.
BP Oil or something like that. I mean, come on. Starbucks is a huge global entity, and they took the same stance.
Well,
now,
theirs was worse. They asked for not anybody to come in with guns.
Period.
Concealed or otherwise. I mean, they would probably let go of the tree they were hugging if somebody came in there with an open carry.
Oh, boy. Yeah, the barista would lose their foam.
So anyway, they continue with, as a company serving customers with many different viewpoints, we sometimes caught in the middle on controversial issues like this one. We hope you and your members along with other friends in the gun rights community understand our position. Will continue to visit us. We appreciate your business. Thank you very much. Now, this is from Preston Atkinson Atkinson. Yeah, I guess Atkinson. Mm-hmm. He's been president, CEO of Whataburger since 2012, and I think he's been with the company longer than that. President of the stores and stuff prior. And interestingly enough, I couldn't find any information on Preston, but I suspect he's from the Northeast. I'll just throw that out there. Not because it's true, but just because it makes better story. He probably doesn't like guns, and he thinks eating meat's bad too, and he won't talk about that because they sell hamburgers. No, I don't know.
Yeah, well, hey, no, you raise very good points there. That and if you were just to judge a book by its cover, sure, he would definitely fit that mold. But whether or not is this just one man making this knee-jerk reaction, or is there a board of directors that this went through? Yeah. I mean, you got to wonder, how deep does this go, or is this really just the fears of one person who is so desperate to hold on to each and every customer that he's willing to go to these measures just to appease some?
They mention in here about how people seem to be just fine with police officers open carrying, and I'm thinking to myself, why? And this is nothing against our police, our deputies, sheriff deputies out there, but a cop with a gun is just another person. It's just somebody that has a job that's supposed to protect the public. And I'm not saying they shouldn't carry guns. They should. But what's the difference between them carrying a gun and me carrying a gun?
Well, look, and I would say even more so of a reason for people to be maybe nervous around cops, because look at what's been in the news lately.
And look at all the kind of life they have to go through.
Well, yeah.
And you never know when one might snap.
I'm not here to justify or to put down anybody in the armed forces or anybody that carries a gun for a living.
But they're just people.
They are.
And they could use help.
And just like you said, so are the rest of us. They've got their own things that they got to go through each and every day, trials and tribulations, et cetera, et cetera. But look, man, I mean, chances are you walk into a store and you see somebody carrying a gun on their hip, they're probably a much more responsible person than the kid out in the parking lot with a hoodie over his face and not making eye contact with people.
Holding the gun sideways.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, holding the gun sideways and stuff.
Yeah. So he's going in for a kill shot.
So he's what is that? What was that show? I can't remember, but one of the hip shows from the 80s. He's going for his selfie, his gun selfie. But anyway, and that's the other thing. You never can tell when a police officer might need help. I mean, police officers are targets, especially because of the news, what we've seen in the news. Yeah.
There's been a couple stories in the news recently about that very same thing.
Yeah, and if you're surrounded by people with conceal and carry licenses, law-abiding citizens that legally have the right to carry the conceal or open carry starting January 1st, 2016 in Texas, well, chances would be very good that they're going to help the police and not hurt them. So I think society as a whole gets safer, and I think that any of these employees and customers that are concerned about a standard citizen carrying an open firearm, they're just not used to it. This is why I call it a knee-jerk reaction. They're fearful. It's completely human, completely understandable, but you can think past that. After it's going to be so commonplace that Whataburger is going to be out of touch. Oh, we can't go in there. Let's go through the drive-through, or let's not go through there at all. Now, I'm not saying we should do a boycott of Whataburger, but if one was done, that might change their mind about what their customers and employees thought. Maybe not so much the customers, but at least the employees, especially as they dwindle down from 34,000 to less than that because of the non-support of Texans and their Second Amendment right to carry weapons.
Well, speaking of carrying weapons, police and corrections officers and stuff, there's this one particular prison that had an inmate he was left with some permanent damage.
So you could have gone with the gun angle on this one easy.
I could have, something along the lines of like a Sex Pistol or
open carry like would be frowned upon.
Well, you wouldn't be able to carry this thing around any other way but openly if you were in this man's positions. Look, guys, I would be nothing if inconsistent if I did not bring to you a story at the end of the show about someone's ass or an odd and disgusting tale of a man's obsession with a nearby sewer pipe. So in the interest of living up to the expectations of all you sick, twisted freaks out there, I present to you the story of the pecker and the prisoner. 50-year-old Rodney Cotton from Brooklyn was a man mixed up, hanging out with the wrong crowd and developing an addiction to prescription drugs. He was arrested and served 2.5 years behind bars in 2008 for illegally possessing Vicodin. He almost made it to total freedom, but was thrown back in the slammer for violating his parole in July of 2011. When he was arrested after flipping a car onto its roof. Is this guy the Hulk? Poor Rodney, he just couldn't catch a break. Upset with his life's decisions, he quickly went down a long downward spiral of depression. So in the spirit of better living through chemistry, he was given the antidepressant Risperdal.
Risperdal. Well, I've seen that on the news.
While locked up in the Manhattan Detention Complex. And, well, speaking of little pills, the medication prescribed by the prison infirmary had a rather odd side effect, one that some people around Rodney's age actually pay good money for. However, this turned out to be a curse rather than a pleasure. You see, the medication produced a horribly painful erection, which lasted 6 full days.
Was this painful for him or his cellmate?
Well, I think just about anything that was within range. Cotton filed a $10 million lawsuit against the city, the Department of Corrections, and the City Health and Hospitals Corporation. The lawsuit claims Cotton suffered, quote, permanent injuries to his penis and complete loss of function due to the medical malpractice of doctors and guards who ignored his pleas for help. The suit, filed in Manhattan Supreme Court, says Cotton was left in agony and even had difficulty walking, but was simply left in solitary confinement with an ice pack and ineffective painkillers. Reminds me a lot of my junior high and high school first aid room. You get a little boo-boo or something, and all they do is give you an ice pack and send you on your way.
Let's see if this sounds familiar. Josh, you want to stand up and tell the class what you did this summer?
I'll sit. Thank you.
I can't stand all the way up. It hurts.
It's against my religion to stand up on days that end in Y.
Oh, why? I get that joke.
He was eventually sent to Bellevue Hospital for emergency surgery after the long 4th of July weekend. The ex-con received the first installment of his settlement in a check for $750,000 on Monday.
That won't buy a penis.
No, probably not.
Not one for you. One that's attached.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
This was all on the eve of his trial. Nicholas Paolucci, a spokesman for the city law department, said in a press release, settling the case was in the best interests of the city. A 6-day hard-on could literally screw the entire city.
Bum, bum, bum.
It just goes to show you, folks, even the prisoners will occasionally, the people in the prisons and stuff, get things wrong. This guy, I don't care what he did. I don't care what he had to do to get his Vicodin or how much damage was caused to that car he flipped over. I don't think that he deserved losing his junk like this. Come on. I understand the everything surrounding this. He was, he did wrong. He made bad decisions. He had to pay for them. And you get locked up. You are essentially entrusting your life into those who are sworn to, protect over you and watch over you as you serve your sentence. And he took a pill as he was instructed to do for whatever he was diagnosed with. Whether that be clinical depression or manic depression or just a bad case of the Mondays, I have no idea. But in any case, this guy was given a pill, and for whatever reason, the pill had the wrong kind of effect on the guy. And at first, I'm probably sure that he was really happy. It's like, boy, what do we have here? Look at this. No, please don't. But nonetheless, things definitely turned rather sour. I don't know what I would do.
And sour? Gee whiz. Well,
yeah, I don't know what I would do, Tony. I could understand after maybe a few hours starting to get bored with things. But what do you do after day 2 or day 3 or even day 5? I mean, I have the morning routine is sometimes having to adjust some things to make some things happen. I can't imagine what this guy had to go through with 24/7 being at attention.
Well, I could think that his wife or girlfriend would be amazed at the how much less time he was spending in the bathroom.
Well, he was in jail, so.
Well, I mean, after this.
Well, the doctor said that he was left with complete loss of function.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. So you would do your business and get out.
A lot less in the bathroom. He probably has a bag now, to tell you the truth. Oh, you are some soggy socks either way.
It's just so sad.
Really
I don't know that $750,000 would actually cover that. Now, I don't know if I looked up the right thing or not, but I was looking up side effects, and I don't see anything having to do with this side effect.
See, that's what I was wondering too, because I didn't see anything that said anything like proprietism or anything like this that would lead to what he was talking about. Now, obviously, he could have been on some other medications. There could have been some sort of drug interaction that wasn't planned for, or has ever been tested for, or something like that. I have no idea. And Risperdal and I don't know, Vicodin or something like that, maybe mixed together give you Viagra. I don't know.
It's really strange. I mean, here's the common ones: aggressive behavior, adulation. Oh, that would be fun. Anxiety, changes in vision, including blurred vision, difficulty concentrating.
If you play with it too much, you'll go blind.
Difficulty speaking or swallowing. Oh, there's a good one. Inability to move the eyes, increased amount of urine, loss of balance control, face-like mask, memory problems, muscle spasms of the face, neck, and back, problems with urination. Oh, there we're getting closer. Restless or need to keep moving, shuffle walking, skin rash or itching, stiffness or weakness of the arms or legs, tick-like twitching movements, trembling and shaking of the fingers and hands. I would think that would be a stretched muscle. Trouble sleeping, twisting body movements, and then there's less common back pain, chest pain, speech or vision problems, sudden weakness, numbness in the face, arms, or legs, rare confusion, dizziness, drowsiness, extreme thirst, fast swallowing, breathing, fast, weak heartbeat, headache, increased thirst, lip smacking or puckering. Oh, that would be an interesting one. Great for selfies. Loss of appetite, muscle cramps, pale, clammy skin. every first date I went on. Poor coordination, prolonged painful and inappropriate erection of the penis. Ding, 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 ding. It's very rare.
Clear down at the bottom. It is the very end of the list of very rare side effects. God, this guy really needed to go in and insist on somebody buying a lottery ticket for him, because I mean, the chances of him reacting to that medication in that way are so astronomically rare that he would have had better chances of not only winning the lottery, but also getting struck by lightning in the same day.
Unfreaking believable.
Right? Well, as is most of the stories here on the Tony and Josh Show, but we encourage you guys to subscribe nonetheless and get useless stories like this that will, well, hopefully fill your day with some time wasting. And
hey, this could save your life or your junk.
Oh, look at that. We've done a public service.
Yes. So next time somebody tells you to go clean up your room, be glad that you have something else to do while you're in there.
Well, we're doing a public service to you people in your ear holes each and every week. And, you guys can get our entire show archived for your downloading and listening pleasure 100% free over at TonyandJosh.com. All kinds of good stuff to do and see and listen to over there. So make sure you guys are finding us also on iTunes as well, because you can subscribe there. And, well, that's going to ensure that you guys don't miss a single release of the Tony and Josh Show. And that would make sure that you guys also catch all of our bonus episodes, whether that be, a surprise weekly release that we might do every now and again, or when we pick back up our Walking Dead segment. Don't want to miss out on that stuff? Well, you got to subscribe. Do it right now over at iTunes.
Subscribe. It's easier to do than it is to say. So I'm sure you mentioned Stitcher and tuned in, of course, iTunes. And, please do the reviews. We really enjoy the reviews. It makes us feel complete. We know we're loved when you take the time to give us a 5-star review over at iTunes. So right, don't forget about the Twitter, and at Tony and Josh Show. Please use the hashtag, #HashBrown Tony and Josh Show.
Something along those lines.
And tell a friend. I mean, if you don't have a friend, just walk up to strangers and say, "Hey, have you heard the Tony and Josh show?"
Just start screaming out Tony and Josh every time you cross the street in the middle of the intersection. Stop, throw your hands up in the air, and yell out how much you love the Tony and Josh show.
Sitting bored in a public restroom, yell out, "Have you heard the penis story?" The latest Tony and Josh show episode. Here, let me play it for you. And see,
if you
it's a captive audience.
And if you've been completely offended and all of your moralities have been assaulted, well, then we've done our job right. Make sure that you guys do your part, and yes, tell a friend.
So I guess we did have 2 gun stories on the show.
In a way.
They were, and at least one was cocked and loaded.
Yeah.
All right, you guys have a great week. We will see you next week for episode 79. That's a long one.